Hey everyone, I'm Breanna from Boom, and welcome to Boom Chat. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Christine Larsen, the creator, writer, and illustrator of ORCS. The adventure starts here. Join Bog and his crew who were banished from their orc village by King Hrograhgah. It was a simple misunderstanding involving an acorn-related prank, and must now venture out into the world to seek their fortune and hopefully one day find their way back home again. Bog, Zep, Pez, Utzu, and Gurh's many adventures will find them entering the dreaded Eerieasallhel Forest, facing off against trolls, gnomes, squirrels, and more, and even following in the footsteps of the legendary orc hero, Dod One-Eye. Christine, I have read number 1 and I love it so much. This is such a fun comic. I love the bantery back and forth style of your writing. How long have you been working on this story and where did the inspiration come from?
This has started back in 2015. I was doing an art book full of orcs that I would draw them for my morning warm up, and I was putting an art book together. And to kickstart it, I was including like a little zine with it. So this was supposed to originally be a quick little one-off story. And then I had some medical problems, so I didn't quite get through the zine entirely for the Kickstarter. So the year it took me to finally write it, the world built a lot. So the zine went out and the art book went out finally. And I just kind of kept working through the characters and building the world up. And ended up with, I think, 2 finished scenes. I wrote like the third and the fourth scene, but that's what I used to actually pitch the book. So 4, 5 years now. Yeah. So they've been developing over the course of that time.
Oh my goodness. I mean, you finally got to this point. That's amazing. So, where did the idea for the story come from? Like, why orcs?
I've always liked them as characters. I'm a big Hobbit fan, or a big Tolkien fan. Lord of the Rings, Hobbit, all that stuff. And they were always my favorite characters in those books as a kid. Like even the movies, the cartoon growing up. I don't know if you remember the Hobbit cartoon back in like the '80s with Rankin Bass. That was one of my favorite things. Was that scene with the Goblin King, and I've always been kind of obsessed with one characters that are lackeys, but also characters that are monsters that they kind of get. uh, They're not as developed as anything else, but the peaks you get are very interesting and very irreverent and uh, very thumbing your nose at the heroes. And that's always what I respond to in those characters and in characters in other properties and stuff. Um, so I kind of just jumped from there. I feel like not a lot of people explore characters like that. They're not, I don't know, cool enough or pretty enough or whatever reason people don't do it. I always kind of like that sort of underdog bad guy. I don't know. I like it.
Well, I'm excited to find out more about these guys. They're so fun. Are any of them based on any friendships that you have or anyone you know? Because they're such interesting individual characters.
Um, it's so strange when people ask like where characters, like people have asked me that, where do character ideas come from? And I think it's a little of everything. It's, yes, some of it is people I know and or relationships I've observed. I think some of it is aspects of my own personality. You know what I mean? Like all of each of them sort of represent a little part of me in some way. With and then they're on their own people beyond that, but they are all, I think, written in my voice in one form or another. So if that makes sense. Um, but no one specifically. Like I didn't say like here's my friend Jeff, and I'm gonna make this guy just like Jeff. No, not at all. Um, and yet, yes, because all of the character you create is gonna be based off of those relationships that you have anyway.
That's awesome. I love it. It's like little pieces of you that end up on the page, and I really
Yeah.
appreciate that. Okay, so the way that you write is I enjoy it so much. You have this way of getting the orcs to express this familiarity with each other so well in your writing. So, was making the world and characters feel really lived in something that you focused on? And do you have backstories and histories for all of them?
Yeah, it's strange because they started from a place of the plot, right? So when I first wrote the zine, they were just kind of very tropey. And over time, as the world has developed, they have developed as individuals and where they come from, and what their personal histories are, and then what the history of their people is, and all that stuff helps to influence the world building, because you know people don't act a certain way as a group, but people are influenced by the traditions and cultures that they come from. And so you take a personality and you put it into a culture with certain traditions, and you bounce them off each other, and that's how that person reacts to it. You know what I mean? It's like situational.
Hmm.
I do a lot in my head, and then by the time it comes out, it feels very together. It's hard to describe, really.
That's awesome. I can't put stories together to save my life, so I'm always intrigued by the inner workings of how people put things together. So that's really cool. Okay, next question. I have to admit, I have creeped on your Instagram a little bit, and you do so much traditional illustration and fine art, and it's beautiful, by the way. It's gorgeous. I was just scrolling through. It's so pretty. Were comics always part of your artistic expression?
No, actually, I didn't do my first comic till I was like 23. And I went into art school going for illustration. When I was going, comics weren't like a viable career choice, and I didn't have the financial backing to do something that seemed as frivolous as comics. And then over the years, I mean, really, I think it's where my art style lives the most comfortably, and where I can express myself in at the best. Uh, Even more so than like editorial illustration or children's book illustration. um, Over the years, I kind of developed a really deep appreciation and love for comics as it all went along. So I didn't start that way. I kind of fell into comics. They found me. They found me with a baseball bat, just beat me up and dragged me down the comics alley.
You're coming with us.
Yeah, you're coming with us. And I'm like, oh no.
So with that, what's your favorite medium to work in?
I'm most comfortable probably in ink, but I really do enjoy doing I have like this color pencil watercolor technique that I've been doing recently that's challenging, but also comfortable enough that it's not stressful. And I've been doing a lot of painting for the covers in liquid acrylic. That's been kind of the same. It's challenging enough that it's tough to do, but it's not so tough that I don't want to do it.
Where you get mad at it and you go, you're not doing what I want.
Right, right. There've been a couple covers where I like left the room and like didn't touch it for a day. But for the most part, I can sit and power through.
That's wonderful. I love it. I love learning these new things. Okay, so the other thing I noticed that I thought was really cool that you did, you have created this magic alphabet inside the world of orcs.
Oh yeah.
Is it a full alphabet? Can it be deciphered? Do you have notes somewhere?
I do. It is a full alphabet, and it can be deciphered. It's actually based off of. We're gonna go deep. Are you ready to go deep? So
Yes.
I was very big, even before the movies, into the Lord of the Ring fandoms online. And online, a lot of these are down now. You can't find them anymore, but I downloaded them before the websites got taken down. They have constructed languages based off of Black speech. So there are like several of these, and I combined three of them to make a fuller vocabulary. Sometimes I need to build more words like they do in German with compound words, and I just like have an etymology dictionary and the available vocabulary and build a new word off of it. But if you were to download those constructed languages, they have the actual like how to speak the language, how to build sentences, all the grammar and stuff is based off of was it, I think it's Land of Shadow it's called. I don't know if that website's up anymore. I have it all like downloaded as PDFs. So I use that grammar and the constructed languages vocabularies. So all of the anytime you see the alphabet, it can be translated if you have all of those resources at your disposal to make the translation.
That is so fun. That is so fun. Oh my goodness.
No, it's very nerdy. Like it's like I'm not multilingual at all. I was never good at memorizing vocabulary, but I was always very good at grammar and like from a couple of different languages when I was a kid. Like I could never memorize the grammar or memorize the vocab or even like pronounce it well because I was born in New Jersey. I think like genetically you can't speak right even English. But language has always been like this fun puzzle to me. So I like looking at the constructed languages, like they're a fun puzzle. The dwarf language is the same way. The runes I'm using for the dwarf language are Viking runes. You can find those online very easy. They're actually the runes from The Hobbit. But those correspond with a dwarf constructed language online.
I love this. This is so cool. I love that there's just all these little nuggets of information. Yes. Okay. I want to look this up and see if I can figure it out. Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. Okay. So all of that to say, I have to move on to the next question.
Okay.
But that's the coolest thing I've heard in quite some time. I swear. I have to ask you about something that is very close to my heart. Demon squirrels. Yeah. Did you base this off of the demon squirrels in my backyard? Because no, I know you did it.
As someone who gardens, even though I do urban gardening, I hate squirrels. I hate them. I hate them so much.
They're evil.
And I purposefully made sure they were gray squirrels because in Europe, the red squirrel, the ones with the little cute ears, they're an endangered species. So we don't want to think bad of them. But gray squirrels are a menace. And if I could catch and eat one, I would. I just don't like
there is literally a demon squirrel that lives in my backyard, constantly yells at me and my husband and my dog, and is the reason why my internet keeps going out because they love chewing on our internet wires. They're evil.
I like planted a patch of when I planted my patch of squash last year. They literally it was growing so nice and they just destroyed it in the span of a half an hour. I went inside from having my coffee and came back out and it was all tore up. It had been out for a month. It was growing, it was established, it was going to be a thing. And I'm oh, okay, that happened. I just swallowed rage. So yeah, I'm not a big squirrel fan, but they're not actually demons. I wanted to try to pull a lot of folklorish ideas of talking animals or sentient animals that kind of go in with the different fantasy races or species in the actual book. So it's talking animals and also different kinds of fantasy creatures and species and peoples and all that stuff.
Oh, I love all the research that's gone into this. I can't wait to read the rest of it. Christine, thank you so much for your time today. It has been so lovely chatting with you. Mm-hmm. And for those of you watching at home, be sure to pick up ORCS #1 in stores now.